Good evening, everybody, and welcome to day number 77, War Update, Day in Ukraine. Today is a very, very important day, being day 77. Man, that's quite red. Let me chill her a little bit there. Get to all of your chats and hellos in a little bit. I should have Zhenya over here with me live tonight. We'll get an update for him for a few minutes and then let him get some more sleep. Today, real big day, made some upgrades in the studio, working with Stephen Haywood. So a big shout out. Where's my little things at? Boom. Big shout out for Stephen Haywood. Tonight, we are taking the map world up a level. We're taking the map world up a level, and you will appreciate it, I'm sure. So that is all Stephen Haywood working behind the scenes, and much appreciated. Some lighting adjustments, and we're getting that all dialed in. Today, really interesting day, because after the program last night, some of these guys in here, like you see Beardy Day Crypto, you see Wilberforce, JDO, all these guys, we know each other from another group, financial group out of San Francisco called Invest Answers, and just a really great group of guys led by a guy named James, who's brilliant. So JDO sent me a message last night on our Invest Answers platform and says, "Hey, man, those pictures were so awesome. Could you put together a video and just let people see, the soldiers?" I said, yeah, so I'm already working on that, was thinking about it, so it was just a confirmation. But I put up the other video last night. Let me go here and show it to you. Boom, let's go here. This one right here. I put this up last night, right here. This one. I'm sure you guys remember it. And she's rolling. Lots of people are viewing it very, very quickly. 780 views in less than 24 hours. And then it just starts escalating. So that one's rolling good. The issue with that is over 75% of the comments and messages I get from it are from people that need to be educated, that actually believe that Russia is right in this war and that Ukraine is full of Nazis. So tonight, toward the end of the broadcast, we're going to teach the truth, and I'm going to drop the truth bomb on Marxism. I'm going to make the connection from Marx all the way to Vladimir Putin, and I'm going to tell you why we're seeing what's happening. The other thing is, you really want to tell your friends to jump in here tonight, because toward the end of the broadcast, when I'm dealing with the Marxism and talking a little bit about why we're at where we're at in the world and in the war in Ukraine, I'm also going to show a couple of video clips of a guy named Bertrand Russell. Do not want to give that away yet, but you do not want to miss Bertrand Russell. Bill and Rita Terry watching from our car in West Virginia. Okay. Listen, can somebody please get my parents a hotel room? What are you sleeping in the car for? You trying to be like Zhenya? No, I'm just messing. They're driving south. Awesome. Karen Beatty, God bless you. Ricochet, flying Russian tanks, or at least parts of them. There is a truth bomb. Yes. Welcome to all of you. Let me see if he's over here, because honestly, he better be. He better be. There you are.
Hello from Poland and welcome to Ukraine.
Hello from Poland and welcome to Ukraine. Let's see. What time is it?
It is
3 a.m.
3:10.
3:10. You're plus 6 in Poland, and then tomorrow back in Ukraine you'll be plus 7. Now I know. Let's just go ahead and get it out of the way. Then we'll talk about a couple of our things. And I know you've got to get back to sleep because you're getting up again and heading to pick up a humanitarian supply and then driving into Ukraine. So let's go ahead and do it.
So, one more time, welcome to Ukraine for those who has questions.
We will gladly answer them. Oh, we're going to
Okay,
answer them tonight. We're going to. Zhenya, actually, I sent him the title of the program tonight about this war actually started in 1848. You'll understand that in a little while. And he says, man, now you're really going at the throat. Absolutely. We're going for the jugular. Because people have to understand and be educated. If not, this ignorance runs rampant. And this is what the world wants. And I'm going to validate it toward the end of the program. So, Zhenya, the big question on everybody's mind, and you've got to bring some clarity. Money hot in the pocket. We're ready to buy the van. There's a song in the American history called Runaround Sue.
Okay. Here's update. We were checking 3 or 5 countries through the websites. All the websites we had. We drove over for sure over 1,000 kilometers.
600 miles.
Like checking different vans one by one, including like last morning. It's this morning for you, and we were checking the conditions and so on. So then we had to answer ourselves. Okay, we did everything we could, but when you feel responsibility about taking some vehicle to God's garage, and if you feel responsibility for that, you want to do the best. So we had an answer from one of the company that the van you came for coming next week, and we didn't want to get the other one. That's I was a little bit sad, but then I said, okay, but I will not go on compromise.
He went to the dealership today in Berlin, and the van we were ready to buy, the one I showed you guys last night, the gray one, when he arrived, they said, well, that van will be here in 6 days. So he's not going to wait around in Berlin 6 days. Now, I asked Zhenya today, I said, man, just go to Warsaw and buy a van in Warsaw. He says, nope, can't do that. So he educated me today. You see, in the United States, we have something called, what is it?
Carfax.
Carfax.
Or other.
Mm-hmm. So in Ukraine and other nations, Poland, is there any Carfax?
No.
Okay. And you told me that many of the nations, like most of them, they just roll the odometers back.
Yes, that's a problem. This is why people who really wants to buy a really good one, and not we call it kukla, not just a dolly, and they going to Netherlands or Germany, such countries, because nobody is, trying
they have laws.
Yeah, so like they have reality and they have real numbers on the mileage, and not the same in other countries. They just using taking advantage of that nobody knows the truth. When person doesn't know the truth, this person can get in problem. So
the bottom line is we're going to be a little patient on our next humanitarian run into Germany. We're going to pick up the van. But I appreciate that. A lot of people have given money, and we've raised money, and we're still raising money. Remember, everybody, you can donate at blwc.org, your Applebee's meal a week. There's still so much to be done. And so we're very, appreciative and thankful for your being very sure to get the right van. And so we appreciate that. And I know everybody wants to see the new van in action. That's the bottom line. No more than you do, I promise you. But you know what you're doing. You're on the ground. and we trust you to get the right one.
Even today on the way, I had a problem with clutch one more time. It's almost a habit. I was fixing it right there, but patience.
Well, here's the other good thing. Here's the other good thing. The way this is working out, you've got to go back to Germany. This will allow you to get your van back to Ukraine, where you can deal with it there, fix it up and sell it, do whatever. So it's better than leaving it in a garage somewhere in in Germany, and then you've got a van in Germany. So this is going to work out.
Yes.
And be encouraged. Can funds be sent snail mail? Absolutely. Let's do this right quick. Sorry, Jacob, but people want to donate.
It's okay.
People want to donate. Here you go, guys. I'll hop over here real quick, and all you got to do, if you want to give snail mail, go to blwc.org, hit contact in the upper right, and here is the address. BL Boy Llama Willy Wonka Charlie, blwc.org, and hit contact. Thank you for that. So yeah, snail mail's good. Make it out to Bethel Life and put Ukraine on it. You know the deal, Stephen. We're good. On tomorrow, there was another divine connection. A guy here in our church says, "Hey, I need to get in touch with Zhenya. I have friends in Poland that are into the, helping Ukraine in the war effort. We made a connection. You're heading there tomorrow to pick up all kind of supplies to get to Ukraine." So it's just the way this networking is working, and we're happy for it.
So I will send you the video and the pictures from that process, and you will be updated with that.
Okay. Now let's talk about a couple more things. Ukraine made some really good movements in Kharkiv, pushing the Russian lines back.
Yes, let's say in some areas, we cleaned up or restored 400 kilometers during this last few weeks, let's say, totally. But we got it back, and on the Kharkiv area,
yes,
we almost on a borderline between Ukraine and Russia. I mean, the real one. So it's going on.
Sorry,
and it's okay.
Yeah. So now some of those troops rotated out, and they've pushed down below Izum more. But we've gained some territory. So we'll just be honest with everybody. Yes, we've gained some territory around Kharkiv, but we've lost some territory down in that pinch area, and I'll be showing that to you. The other thing is, I'm going to talk about this tonight, is it doesn't look like, I've actually got the headlines from TASS, the Moscow Times, everything. Kherson has done what we knew they were going to do, and I'm not talking about our Ukrainian Kherson. I'm talking about the oppressors and stealers of our territory. They have called Moscow today and asked Vladimir Putin to take control of their region. This is the same thing they did in Lugansk. This is the same thing they did in Donetsk, what they did in Crimea. And they talk about, the Kremlin replies, well, we'll have to do a referendum. That's all fake. It's all set up. It means nothing. The only way to get this back is Russia must be defeated. And I'm going to talk about that in the Marxism segment.
It's just the same way, and it was in the past. They call the things referendum, but it's nobody can prove it. There is no international observers. There is not real laws for like foundation. I mean, like for this referendum, it's not real referendum, and there is no according to Ukrainian constitution, not possible to have referendum without the whole country.
Correct.
It's Ukrainian constitution. Then what it is about?
Let's do this since you're on here with me then. You know what? You can sleep later. Here we go. Dmitry Kuleba said that Ukraine is upgrading their war goals. You see, for the negotiations to continue, according to Kuleba and directly from President Zelensky, Russia had to return to the February 24th lines, which was they're in Crimea and they're in the separated regions of Lugansk and Donetsk. Now, that territory is so minimal. Even though we've pushed back in Kharkiv, they've got an incredible amount of territory that they're occupying right now. So Kuleba came out and says, no, you're going to have to be out of our country completely. And that includes Lugansk, Donetsk, Crimea, no military, and our sovereign borders. I think Ukraine's getting some confidence with some of these new weaponry that's there. The M777s are there. They're using them right on the front lines. Javelins are there, and other stuff is coming, and we've got better soldiers. So they're getting some confidence, and they realize, and you can speak to this, let's say everybody just took their tanks and went home. Okay? We'll call it like that. You know as well as I know, in 3 or 4 years, Putin will be doing it again.
Yes.
That's how he operates. So it has to be...
And it's more than just taking the soldiers out of our country territory at this moment. We realize how many evil were released. Surely Ukraine will not touch other countries' borders. No, it's not about that. But we realize that when it was proclaimed in a big, huge Russia for their people that Ukraine, it's our territory. It's like they believe it's their territory.
Pause.
And
that right there was the problem with the May 9th speech. Number one, the NATO was blamed. NATO moved their nuclear weapons too close to the Russian border. But then thirdly, it's so minor unless you understand it. Vladimir Putin said, that's our land. That's what he said. It's our land. And it's exactly what you're talking about. It's not their land.
Okay. Yes, sure. The second thing, the second thing is these were presented to Russian nation, Russian people, by their TV and propaganda, that they are not fighting with civilian people. They don't want to have a war, so this is not a war. This is just targeted cleaning of Ukraine against of Nazis.
Genya, I put that video up and it's rolling. But as we talked about earlier, most of the comments come back that, and we even had to deal with some last night. I had to deal with, some comments where, well, there's a large percentage of the global population that believes Ukraine's full of Nazis. And I have a question for you. You're Ukrainian. Why, in your opinion, does a lot of the world, every country, brother, every country, have these thoughts and beliefs? Where does it come from?
It comes from the media, and it comes from the lack of knowledge of the history. It comes from uh, lack of attention to that region. It comes from, okay, let's take reality. A couple of years ago, when where I was telling, hello, I'm from Ukraine, in other
Mm-hmm.
places, they said, you mean from Russia? I said, no, not from Russia, from Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's the same. I said, no. It's so somehow the world got that picture, and
Yes.
somehow it just there on that foundation, on that foundation, on that foundation, Russia builds that theory that, oh, this is our territory, and it's not,
No, it's
and it
absolutely not.
never.
I've even
Yes, so
mentioned,
like,
I mean,
uh,
if people want to know the truth, Russia came out of Ukraine, but we don't want people to lose their minds too much.
so and it was proclaimed not, and now it's changed during that 2 month war.
Mm-hmm.
Now there is no some Nazist in Ukraine. There is Ukraine which should be wiped out, and
Correct.
they call it being denazified, and by that they are destroying people's life. And when these people are fleeing from the east side to the west, uh, sometimes up to 70%, up to 80%, it's a Russian speaking people. So it's uh, people
Correct.
coming from there, or they will say, hey, it's why? Take Mariupol, take
Yes.
Kharkov a lot, take Chernigov very much, take Sumy, all of these places, take all Lugansk and Donetsk areas. All of them were speaking Russian mostly. And now, so it was proclaimed. So it's, and at this moment, world have to answer their, I mean, a few questions about, do we believe that one nation have right
Yes.
to decide for other nation what is the right for that nation or what is wrong for other nation, and changing, moving the borders, changing their language, changing their history, changing, kidnapping people, kidnapping kids,
Yes.
and bombing their cities, and then calling it special operation. So everybody, anyone who calls killing people just some operation, yes, this this is murder,
It
and
is murder.
everybody, anybody who agrees with that kind of, I mean, that kind of word, that killing people, oh, it's not a real killing people. It's just cleaning a bit the other nation, not all nation, but other nation. Okay, he has. I tell them, please come to my country. Come to my country now. Watch reality. Go live.
Mm-hmm.
I will make internet for you for free. You will
Yes.
have a huge data. You will broadcast live right there, right from Ukraine, telling the truth. But come first and see it.
I have a question for you.
it
I
okay,
know it's a
sorry for
hot
that.
topic. It's okay because we're having to deal with it, and the only way we can do it is through educating people and just being consistent. Okay, so let's look at this. Okay, you ready?
Mhm.
I can do this
Mhm.
now. I fixed it while you were talking, and so we are. This is Lugansk, and this is Donetsk. Okay,
Mhm.
and the separated region was kind of in here, and
Mhm.
now we have all of this territory plus Crimea.
Mhm.
Okay, and now we've wrapped up behind Kharkiv like that. So this is pretty accurate. Now, I
Mhm.
have a question for you.
Mhm.
Let's say there's 1,000 Nazis in that region. Let's say there's 10,000. I've got news for you. There's more than 10,000 Nazis in the United States. And hello, Americans, you know it's the truth. Communist, socialist, Nazis, evil in our own country. So let's say for having fun tonight, Jacob, there's 10K Nazis. Why are we erasing everybody and wanting to erase it all? Look at this. Why? Let me go here. I got so many buttons going tonight. 2K right there. Jania, if that's the issue, then why is Russia moving all this equipment? Here you go, right here, folks. Here's the video from today. Tanks, armor, equipment, Iskanders moving into Pinsk. This is not only on the border. Let me go back to here. We're talking about this location right here, Pinsk. And of course, there's a huge group in this area. And then you have Polish border. Would somebody please tell me? So where are the Nazis over here? Where are the Nazis in Volyn? Where are the Nazis in Lviv? Where are the Nazis in Rivne, in Khmelnytsky, Ternopil, Chernivtsi? Why is Kyiv being melted to the ground? Why is Odessa now being leveled?
Okay, let's take a pause. Okay, answering. Okay, let's take aside Ukraine with its own representing to the world, and not presentation how Russia presents it the last years, but what was and how was Ukraine in their politic. Did Ukraine ever touch other borders? I mean, send any cruise missiles because of disagreement with other nation? Okay, take this all out. Few questions. Nazis, Russia threatens world and Ukraine especially about throwing at nuclear weapon. I mean, at nuclear bomb or missile. Does it? I mean, this is about cleaning something. This is about sickness. Sorry for that, Dan.
My friend, are you ready? This is about Marxism, and I'm going to prove it tonight. This is about Marxism, and it's filtered through the history.
And probably one of the last thing I will add, and we'll stop on that. I have to stop it. And the leaders, political leaders, deputies of Russia.
Yes, the Duma.
Easy talk about killing all the men, for example, in Ukraine, or we need to wipe out Ukraine as it is, and this nation as it is, to not to have Ukrainians in the world at all. And it is rhetoric on the main official channels. Do you hear the same from Ukrainian TV? To wipe out, years, look the years, look not just 2 months, years. It's years.
This is why I'm committed every night, because we're on the verge, especially with what happened in Israel today, and I'll share that in a second. And I'm sure you guys already know. Not only that, the economic system basically imploded today across the board. James did a great video, by the way, guys. Wasn't that fantastic? Calming everything down. But the reality is an implosion. And then we have all of this. This is much bigger than somebody wanting to take out some Nazis. I'm just telling you, it's much bigger. And we have to pay attention. And I'm going to keep shouting it from the mountaintops. And we're going to continue doing what we're doing. Now, Jacob, so there you have it. They're coming in and loading up that corner of Belarus. We discussed that. Now, I'll do that one later. It shows some budgets. It's pretty cool. Over the past 24 hours, and I've got a question coming up here. We're going to do this. Over the past 24 hours, 36 bombing runs were made to the territory of the Azovstal plant. This is directly from Palomar. Mm-hmm. I got the message written from Palomar. 36 bombing runs. That's not the heavy bombers. And then 4 heavy bombers. Enemy infantry, artillery, tanks also continue to operate. The enemy does not stop trying to capture the Ukrainian fortress and continues to carry out daily assaults with the support of infantry. So here's a question for you from Medic Trevor. What are the chances Russia goes for a prisoner swap with the steel plant guys? What do you think? 50-50?
I don't know. Like, maybe. Look, reality, it's one more time. There is international agreements. Okay? And even like during the war time, if the soldiers, military guys, already wounded and they cannot protect or defend themselves, according international law of war, they have right to be
extracted.
Okay. So what do you see? I mean, like, what do you see? You see this, here's the same message. Oh, we don't need YouTube. We have YouTube. Probably we need to, it's okay to be disconnected from internet. Let's be disconnected from internet. Let's have own everything to let people know reality. Let's filter everything. And they call it, let's be clean.
Correct.
Let's have a clean country from wrong ideas, from the wrong internet, from wrong influence, from everything wrong. In reality, there is no democracy. There is no clear information spread. It's not possible. So people they have a picture. Okay. You have a critical mind.
Ricochet says, and I agree with it, cultural cleansing, and this is what we're talking about, is what Russia is doing. It's no different than Hitler. Yeah. Now, Medic Trevor comes back and gives a comment. I'm going to give my answer now. I think there is a 0% chance of a prisoner swap. 0. Okay? I hope I'm wrong. But there is no way Vladimir Putin is going to let those guys escape. He's going to kill them. And you would say, well, they could get some of their prisoners back. He doesn't care about his own people. They're nothing. He just kill them and bring in some more. No problem. They're just pawns on a chessboard. And in that culture, we call it you're a peshka. You're just a peshka. You're a pawn. You're not important. What's important is Azovstal is melted from the Russian side. That's why we need a victory. Janka right here, talking about Mariupol and Azovstal. Here is the new Mariupol paper being printed from Russia. This is what's happening in Mariupol. I told you and taught you guys last night. It's just like World War II. The people that are still in Mariupol cannot walk around without their documents, their filtration papers, and now this is their newspaper. It is completely being controlled. And the only thing left standing there are those few soldiers that are not wounded that are fighting, and all of the wounded and dead that are still under there.
Okay, here it is one more time. They destroyed Ukrainian mobile towers,
Yes.
mobile communications, to not to stop ability for people to have internet connection and internet access to see, to watch, and to read the news. And they bringing them their own news, which is printed.
Yes.
This is the news you have. This is a huge options of and a huge choice of the sources. Now you have right, real, straight access with freedom. Please choose whatever you like from this paper and this paper.
That's it. Buddy, you're spot on. And this is why we're going to continue to tell the truth. I mean, I couldn't believe, last night after the program, I took that little video clip, put it up, and a majority of the comments were just evil. And I said, what on earth is going through people's brains? But we're going to get there in a second. Go.
Pastor Greg, because people they think from their own life.
Mm-hmm.
They cannot believe that in 2022, the huge country can control and filter all the information, and blocking people. You cannot go even with a short message, being like alone on the street, proclaiming, no war, or like I'm for peace.
Jacob,
You be
I showed
arrested.
that little
People
girl last
cannot
night.
believe it.
I showed the little girl. No war. They put her in a paddy wagon, took her away.
And the world cannot believe. This is why people are hating to hear others telling that, it's like, no, like everything is okay, because they believe it's not possible. It's not possible in this time of our civilization, having one of the biggest nation and biggest country in the world control people like that.
Correct.
It's too crazy to hear it. So surely when people living outside, they cannot. It's hard to believe. Even for me, having the war. I know what's going on between Ukraine and Russia from 2014, when people from Bucha and Gostomel, we started to receive refugees, and they were sharing the stories when Russian soldiers didn't allow to bring out dead body of a grandma who died in the basement, in the same basement these people were hiding from bombs, and they said the soldiers locked them outside. I didn't allow it to do during some days. I said it's not. For me, in my mind, I was telling no. It's not possible. It's just unreal. One day I was reading. Watching, listening watching people's eyes, listening their stories. They were showing me pictures. I couldn't believe. Then the truth about Bucha and Gostomel and Baradanki and other places, European, the world started to see. And it's the same story. It's so crazy. These pictures are so crazy that the world, even then, didn't want to believe. Didn't want, and still.
And I don't understand, Zhenya, when we've had some very ethical world leaders have visited, third parties have visited these places and come out and say the same thing. Atrocities, evils, war crimes. Russia did this. This is a crisis. This is a tragedy. This is World War II all over again. And there's still so many people out there going, I'm not sure about that.
Okay, how many schools were been destroyed? How many hospitals being destroyed? It's uncomparable with the Second World War.
Mm-hmm.
Uncomparable.
Incomparable.
Incomparable. Sorry for that.
It's all right.
But it's nothing close. And it's so terrible that the world easily believes that and the story, the picture is that the huge country bombing and sending the missiles, cruise missiles, I mean everything they have to the small, much smaller country, much smaller nation, and destroying cities, hospitals, schools, the places where people were hiding from bombs. They sending extra power with bombs to get them and kill them right there, right under there.
Jacob, it's just a couple of days ago, another school struck, 60 killed. They were hiding there. Here's what I would submit to you for review.
Okay, people, sorry. Why not? Washington Post people, the Fox people, people from Deutsche Welle are not walking freely in Mariupol or other places. Why are not there?
Why right now?
Why people? Why media guys from the countries where these Russian, these ideas, crazy ideas, people sitting on their sofas, nobody is killing, they're not hearing the sirens and airstrike threat. They're sitting in their on their sofas, watching TV and telling, we know the truth much better than you are. Okay, why your guys are not there? Why your reporters are not there? If these people telling, okay, we want for all the world, and why a Washington Post reporter right now in Kiev?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then the question, what's wrong?
Here's what I would submit. We know about Bucha, Irpin, Gostomel because it's Kiev. It's so close to downtown Kiev, people don't understand how close. It's Kiev. But brother, let me tell you something. And you know it, and I know it, and we're going to say it right here, and then everybody that watches us later and leaves me bad comments, they can do it. When the truth comes out with what has happened, and according to Volodymyr Zelensky, to the 2,000 cities, towns, and villages that are currently under Russian control and occupation, when the truth comes out to how many people have been abused, murdered, and killed, it's going to make Bucha and Irpin look like a vacation. They are erasing people hidden behind the lines. They have no humanitarian in them at all. You say, well, they're taking them to Russia. Sure, they're putting them in a gulag or a camp or a labor place. If not, they kill them. That's it. And the world doesn't know because the guy from some media organization, you're right, is in Kyiv. And he's looking through this telescope and he goes, I think a bomb just dropped in Kharkiv. He can't go there. If you go there, you're going to get killed. Because they could care less about the press.
Okay, take Donetsk and Lugansk. Take Donetsk and Lugansk, or in Donetsk and Lugansk, which is occupied by Russia already years, are not free walking people from BBC, CNN, like talks. Why not? Because all of them are interested, to tell I mean, okay, but okay, why there's freely RT media guys or Chinese
Mm-hmm.
reporters are there?
It's correct. And we don't talk about it much, but man, like when we say Donetsk, it's such a big city. It's massive and it's locked down, and you are making such a valid point tonight. If this is so good, then where is the real world? Why are they not there telling the truth? And it's because they can't. And that's a fact. But nobody wants the facts. Here's a fact, and we've already talked about it. Khersonskaya Oblast, Holchit, Russian Federation Avetna Sansky, EU, Isesha. Kherson
Mm-hmm.
region wants the Russian Federation to bring them in because of the sanctions put on them by the European Union and the United States. And you can see that's a picture from Kherson. We've already talked about
Mm-hmm.
it. It's just more of the same. Zhenya, Vienna, Austria, a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Austria and Hungary are a problem. Austria, even though in many ways they've been supported, the truth is starting to dig itself out. This article was in today. Vienna must end its long waltz with Putin. And this was actually the former prime minister. And Vladimir Putin went to her wedding and he was dancing
Mm-hmm.
with her. And this is just a couple of years ago. But the truth
Mm-hmm.
is, Austria has a very close relationship with Vladimir Putin. And they're walking the line on the fence. Hungary is doing the same thing. In fact, Janka, I don't know if you saw this today, but here, folks, is today Vienna, Austria. Ukrainians are marching in Vienna. Russians are marching in Vienna. The Ukrainians were escorted out, and the Russians were allowed to stay and wave their flags. That's Vienna, Austria today. And Austria, it was reported in many places today, they're just too much on the fence trying to play the game. And it comes down to this, Zhenya. It comes down to people are afraid. And that's what I want to talk about. And you've been here the whole time. You might as well stay and hear this. Last thing, this Israeli, and I'm going to show Bertrand tomorrow because I want to have time to talk about him. It's unbelievable. Folks, you do not want to miss tomorrow night. I'm going to show you living history, and it's going to blow you away. This reporter from Al Jazeera, listen, folks, I read Al Jazeera. I read a lot of off news. I read zero American news. Zero. I'll scan it to make sure I'm missing nothing, but I listen to nothing. I listen and read after international media. I know, I don't know her personally, but I've watched this lady, Abu Aqiel, for years. She's an American Palestinian. She was shot in the face today and killed. Both, and this was right before I went online, both Israel and the Palestinian side, and they're doing their investigation. They do not know yet who killed this lady, but it's leaning, accidental or not, she may have been killed by an Israeli soldier. And if it comes out that it is that, we're just boiling the pot in Israel even more. Then you have Ukraine. Then you have the global economy that's happening. You have the mess in the EU with nations disagreeing. You have China and Taiwan. You have Japan and the Kuril Islands. What else do we want? It's a mess. And something bigger is happening. I'm telling you, Something bigger is happening, and we're going to be here. And as the bigger things unfold, people are going to come here for the truth. I'm telling you, they're going to come here for the truth. So, Genia, I want to get to this. This was the deal tonight. Day 77, war in Ukraine. War start date, February 21st, 1848. The reason I put that date there is because that is the date that Marx's Communist Manifesto was written and released and published. So on the left there, you have Karl Marx. On to his right, you have Friedrich Engels. Then you have Vladimir Lenin. You have Joseph Stalin and Vladimir Putin. I'm going to read something to you about Marxism. I have my little notes right here, and I'm going to make a statement about this movement. I believe that this, even through the era of World War I, World War II, we've come through all of the history of the latter 20th century. We're now 20% through, 22% through the 21st century, and we see ourselves repeating history, rhyming history. Where has this come from? Here is your Hall of Fame: Marx, Engels, Lenin, Stalin, Putin. And folks, I want you to listen to me. This same type of mentality is trying to grab the entire world. That is the mentality. Zhenya, you may or may not know this, but it's raging here in the U.S. with a lot of these thoughts and mentalities. So I believe this war started 1848. Medic Trevor, it doesn't matter who killed her, it'll erupt regardless. Both sides will call foul play. 100%. So here we go. This is my thesis. Was that a James statement? This is my thesis. A mistake we make is thinking that Marxism is dead. That Marxism is now something that crazy people at some university talk about, but it's not really alive. It died in the 1900s. The other mistake we make is to say that Marxism is some type of economic theory. Neither one of these things is true. Marxism is not dead, and secondly, it's not an economic theory. What's happened is that Marxists realize the track record of Marxism around the world, and they do not want to call themselves Marxist anymore. They have found new titles, things that sound innocent, and you, as a right-thinking person, would feel guilty to stand against. For example, social justice, inequality and equity. And yes, there are issues on all of those topics, but there is an underlying root problem. The truth of the matter is, Marxism's not about economics. It's not about all these catchphrases. You see, the original Marxist argument was an argument against the capitalist system. The whole system of the world was flawed and it was rigged, and this system divided people. It said that the world and society and capitalist societies are divided between two groups. You have one group who owns the businesses, and they are the oppressors. And you have the workers, everybody else. They are the victims. Well, my friends, today in 2022, that's how communism works. It creates a victim class. It creates an oppressor class. And then it says that the only way to fix this is that we have to overthrow the entire system. We need to have a revolution. We need the government to take over and make everything fair. We need the government that goes to the former oppressors and make them apologize for being an oppressor, for being a Nazi, for being evil. Then we must re-educate these people into our system, and they must pay penance for what they have done. That's old Marxism, but it's repeating itself today. Because today, more than ever, our world is about control and division. Marxism is about control. Now, for the rest of what I'm going to read, just a couple of paragraphs, think about the modern situation happening in Russia, throughout Europe, throughout the world right now. Marxism is about control. The old Marxism used economics to gain control. The new Marxism uses political identity. The result is something that looks like an indescribable event that we've never seen before. And that is exactly what Zhenya was talking about a few minutes ago. This that is happening is an incredible danger to our world. This is an incredible danger to our homes, not only in America and Ukraine, but around the world. There is no reason to believe that what is happening coming out of Moscow and many other nations, this new Marxism that's trying to raise its head in Washington, D.C. and the capitals around the world, will not result in anything but what the old Marxism resulted in. And I'm telling you tonight, the reason we're here 77 nights in a row, and I give up my evenings, and Zhenya is up at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning, and we're doing everything we can to funnel money and to funnel encouragement and to funnel resources, is because this must be defeated. This is a generational problem that only occurs literally in centuries. And if we neglect to take our stand, because I would rather be on the golf course tonight hitting a few chip shots, or I would rather be out to dinner, or I would rather be watching reruns of The Mentalist, then we are forfeiting our responsibility as humans and as Christians. We must confront this now and defeat it, because if we don't, it will destroy the world. What do Marxists count on? What is Vladimir Putin counting on? Why did I put the picture from Marx to Engels to Lenin to Stalin to Putin? What are they counting on? What is Putin counting on? One word: strach, fear. It's all about fear. They count on fear. We know the firsthand from our experiences, and we've watched this through decades of history. We can talk about nations like Nicaragua and Venezuela, Cuba and Germany and Russia, North Korea. Marxists do not tolerate dissent. I showed you the video last night of the little girl holding her sign up that simply said, "I'm against war," and they threw this little girl in the paddy wagon. They do not tolerate dissent. If you speak out in Marxist societies, you go to jail, you go into exile. If you speak out in new Marxism, you get banned, you get erased, you get canceled, you get fired, you go to jail, or you even get poisoned. You get called all sorts of names, and you're told that you're wrong. Marxists count, listen to this, Marxists count on tolerance of the enemy. You guys need to hear that. That's the problem tonight. This is why this war has been brewing since 1848. We're trying to figure out, how can the world not understand this? Because Marxism, Vladimir Putin, and the Russian nut jobs are counting on the world having tolerance. We cannot have tolerance. Marxism is the single most evil and destructive ideology that mankind has ever known. It divides countrymen against each other by design. It divides people groups against each other by design. And whether that division is between rich and poor, or gender, race, religion, Russian or Ukrainian, Democrat or Republican, and I could list until Jesus comes, that is the basis of the fear and destruction. And this is the battle that we're watching play out in Ukraine. Can I cheer myself?
Yes, for sure.
Thank you. That, my friend, is what it's about.
We have. This is why Ukraine doesn't have tolerance. And,
that's it.
And yes, sure, based on the fear. So we have a joke in here. If Russia would invade one of the smallest countries, like the really small countries of NATO,
Estonia,
like for example Estonia, we have joke in here that the level of tolerance of the other countries of NATO would found a reason why this country could be kicked out of NATO because of some reasons. And
You're telling the truth.
the and NATO would not protect it. Why? Because of own interest of the rest of the countries. Why not to sacrifice the small country?
No honor. And that is the battle that's being fought against Ukraine and the rest of the world. That's Marxism. That's Vladimir Putin. And that is what's happening. All right,
so
buddy. Yeah.
there is.
You got to go to bed.
Yeah. So when your kids are being
shot,
what kind? Being shot. Mm-hmm. What kind? Okay, let's talk about tolerance then. When your house being bombed, why? Because they believe they have to demystify you. And this is why they throwing the bombs on the civilians. Then, so the people who sitting outside, who they didn't bury any of relatives. They didn't talk or didn't accommodate the refugees in their homes, like in their homes. And yeah, sure. And the fact it is that these people believe they know the truth much better than the people who personally help these people, personally work with refugees, personally visiting places. It's diagnosis.
It is.
Diagnosis.
Malcolm Beals here has a comment. Boris does not tolerate bullies. I'd agree with that. I think Boris is going to be the man that stands up. And he's already standing up. But this is going to spill over. So, Zhenya, it's like when you say the Ukrainian people, the video I showed last night, and we got to get out of here. You got to go sleep. But the guy that had the eye patch on, the lieutenant giving the speech. So, being in Ukraine so long and working there, and of course you're Ukrainian, when I looked into his eye, I could only see one because of the eye patch. But when I looked into his eye, brother, let me tell you something. You could have put him in a room of 100 men, and I would have picked him out to be a Ukrainian. So don't tell me that there's no character and identity in the Ukrainian people and they're just Russians. I knew he was Ukrainian, and you know why I knew? You go look at his picture. He has the same eyes as Vladimir Zelensky, not the president, our Vova. It looked like Vova giving that speech, the eyes. It was just a beautiful thing. And I'm sitting there going, what if that was Vova sitting there? It's the same thing. We know these people, and here's the deal. We know the truth, and we're going to keep sharing it.
And I was sharing it with Greg that it's great. The love has no borders.
That's right.
We could all together with the team, we could touch and help thousands of people, kids, families, women, old people, helping them, feeding them, helping them with finance, with medicine, with transportation, with documents, with accommodation. Feeding them, and this is the love. Yes. I don't know where these people are, but the part of care, the part of love, which was expressed and were poured in their lives, still with them. So thank you.
We're all a part of that. I watch all the analytics, and I see which nations are watching this, and I know lots of people in Ukraine, of course. But I can tell you right now, folks, when you're in here and you're giving the comments and, the hearts for Ukraine, and we're doing our best to tell the truth, Ukrainians, especially the ones that speak English, are really watching this, and they're encouraged by your comments. They're encouraged by us being faithful. and continue to tell the truth. So we will continue. I want to give you guys a preview. Watch this for 5 seconds. Stay here, Jacob.
It's very difficult for anybody born since 1914 to realize how profoundly different the world is now from what it was when I...
Folks, that's Mr. Bertrand Russell. He spoke directly with Lenin in Moscow in 1920. You do not want to miss what that man says. We're laying the whole thesis out of where and how, when everything unfolded to get us where we're at today in 2022 and what we're witnessing. Jacob, we love you, buddy. Let me pop this comment up. I think that's a great one to finish out the night with. Not fighting against flesh and blood, fighting against spiritual principalities and powers. We know who is the winner.
Yes.
Listening for the shofar. We would give a big amen to that. All right, guys. May the Lord bless you guys and keep you. Every 23 hours, next update's coming. No telling what will be unfolding by then. But for sure, Bertrand Russell's going to be speaking. You do not want to miss Bertrand Russell. I promise you. I've got the videos edited and ready to go. The Lord bless you and keep you. Cause his face to shine upon you. Be gracious to you. Good night. See you in 23 hours. Stay in the green room. Woo!